Okay. So anyway, what's up, y'all? How y'all feeling, man? I hope y'all good. I hope y'all good, man. So, um, I wanted to give another perspective on this whole that this outrage that everybody has and this distancing that everybody is doing from R. Kelly, right? And that makes sense because it's out there that this dude he's fucking with young ass girls and he's doing a whole bunch of weird shit, right? That's the accusation that he's doing a whole bunch of crazy weird shit, being physically abusive. So he's under investigation right now for having sex with underage girls, being physically abusive to these girls, and running a sex cult. That's what the actual investigation is about, and this is multiple jurisdictions, right? So personally, real quick, I think it's a wrap for this bull. I think that he can really go to jail. I wouldn't be surprised if he try to like take his own life or some shit like that. It wouldn't surprise me. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's a wrap for this bull. But I wanted to talk about this from a different perspective, right? So people are real upset, right, at the idea, right, of him having sex with these underage girls. People, that's the main thing, right? The physical abusive part, right? I'm sure they spoke about that during this documentary, right? They spoke about that. It didn't seem like he was that, the girls spoke about him grabbing them by the arm. One of them said he smacked her, right? You know what I mean? No physical abuse is okay, but it wasn't like he was punching him in the face. So it didn't sound like the physical part was extreme physical, right? It sounded like the real issue was the fact that he was having sex with these underage girls and he has a sex cult. That's the biggest shit, right? Okay. So, the underage girls, right? To me, I'm like, I asked a couple people I know, I said, what do you call an underage girl? Most people will say that an underage girl is a girl that's under 18, right? Because we all believe that that's the number. We all know that's the adult number, right? And it's weird, and when you really think about that shit, because 18 ain't that different from 17, right? You know what I'm saying? You an adult at 12:01 a.m. It's like, come on with the bullshit. But this is the law, right? Because if you think about it, right? It's if you think about some of the shit that some girls do at 18, right? It's like, damn, it's sad that you're doing that at 18. 18 ain't even old enough to do some of the shit that they doing, right? Because some girls might turn 18 and decide to just be in porn or some shit like that. And they 18 and they could do it, but when they were 17 and a half, it's like, oh, you're too young. It's like, it's really no real difference and shit. It's the same person. You know what I mean? But anyway, I wanted to talk about the marriage laws, right? In doing this research, I was, I was looking at how old you had to be, for consent, the age of consent in different states, and it was really weird because it's tricky, like they'll say, like in Pennsylvania, the age of consent is 16, but if you're 16, you can only consent to somebody that's, 3 years younger than you, or 3 years older than you, some shit like this. Real weird. It's tricky. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, this shit got to be studied and taught to our kids. We got to teach this shit to our young men, like, yo, and women, like, yo, like, you got to be careful who you get down with. You got to know these rules, right? Because if not, it's like statutory rape. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, in looking at that, I started looking at the legal age to marry. And when I did that, I ended up on Cornell Law School's website. And they had a list of all the states and the different ages that you can marry in these states. And it got fucking weird as shit. I was like, oh my God. So for example, in Pennsylvania, right? In Pennsylvania, if you are 16 years old, you can get married with parental consent, right? But you can't marry somebody 30 and older at 16. But what that means is that if somebody's 29 and they want to marry a 16-year-old, legally they can fucking do it as long as the parents say it's okay. And we all know that there's some real fucked up parents out here that will probably do that if they feel like they're getting something out of it. You know what I'm saying? So, in the sense, right, what people are all upset about is actually legal under certain conditions. You know what I mean? So I'm like, you should be upset about that too. If you upset about a 30-year-old, because again, what's the fucking difference between 29 and 30? Nothing, right? You know what I mean? It's like, ding, you're 30. That's it, right? So if a 30-year-old or 29, I'll be specific, if a 29-year-old can get down with a 16-year-old legally, you know what I'm saying? That's something that need to be corrected too. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that shit is crazy. So I started looking further, right? I started looking at all these different states. The actual lowest number, right, that I saw was in New Hampshire, and it was 13 years old. Now, they just didn't update it because they just raised it from 13 to 16 this year. 28 in 2019, the age limit was just raised to 16. Now, I don't know how old the people could be to mess with the 13-year-old, but that was their law, right? And Massachusetts didn't have a limit. They didn't have an age limit, right? I seen an age limit of 14 in North Carolina. I seen an age limit of 15 in different states. So basically, there are child marriages that can happen in our country legally. Okay? So what everybody is upset about is I'm really looking at like, is this shit really authentic? Is this outrage authentic? Because you outrage with this dude, but the law allows this, and you ain't got shit to say about that. Maybe they don't know about the marriage law, about the actual age limits. I'm gonna run a couple of them off for you real quick. In Missouri, the age was 15. In Mississippi, the age is 15 without parental consent. This is without parental consent. The age is 15 in Mississippi. That's without parental consent. And so we got, and listen, most of the states is 16. All right, with little, you know, and it's like, you know, if you're 16, you can marry. Now, each state might have their little twist on how old the man can be and shit like that. But, you know, this shit is crazy. So when you talk about how, you know, when you see people with all this outrage and shit, right? It's like, if you don't have outrage for this as well, then your outrage is inconsistent. If your outrage is inconsistent, that means that you have selective outrage. And then the question is, why are you selecting this dude? You see what I'm saying? Why are you outraged with what he's doing and not outraged with what the laws allow people to do? You know what I'm saying? You're quiet about that. And I feel like the outrage is selective anyway, because, see, right now it's easy as shit to be outraged about what this dude is doing, because now can't nobody get no money off of him. He can't perform nowhere. Ain't nobody really fucking with him like that. So it's easy to be angry and be outraged, and it's all over. The wells run dry. You understand what I'm saying? So when everybody was getting money with this dude, though, when he was writing them songs and getting them hits, everybody knew what the fuck he was doing, and he just was like looking the other way because it didn't matter. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of this celebrity outrage is straight bullshit. And the reason why I've been on this shit is because some of these celebrities have tried to drag our community into this bullshit and say, yeah, it's your fault. No, y'all fuck with this dude. Y'all do business with this dude. You see what I'm saying? You know, Michael Jordan did shit with this dude. You see what I'm saying? Like, everybody was getting money with this dude and knew what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? But since it wasn't out there as much as it is now, you know what I'm saying? Now everybody trying to act surprised. Oh, wow. This is just so much. Y'all fucking knew what the fuck this dude was doing. Y'all in that industry. Y'all know it's other people. Y'all know the other people whose shit didn't come out yet. You know what I'm saying? Everybody know, not everybody, but a lot of people know that Hollywood and the music industry is all fucked up, and people got to do crazy shit just to get into it. It's been all kinds of stories. So all this outrage is selective, is bullshit. And let's put this out there. Let's send this to some of these people. All right? you get a chance, share this with some of these outraged people like John Legend and shit. Like, yeah, how you feel about the fact that there's girls out here that can get married at 15 to 29-year-old dudes? You see what I'm saying? All right, so that's it. Like and subscribe. Appreciate you. Appreciate the new subscribers. I'll see y'all in a minute.